Hi everyone, this is Anne-Marie and today I'm pleased to be part of Altenew's Certified Educator video hop. It's great to be back and creating again for Altenew. We always have a theme with our educator hops, so this time we've been kind of given carte blanche and anything goes is our theme. So I jumped at the opportunity to create one of my favorite paper products, and that is a fun fold card or a make a special occasion card. So here is the card I'm going to make today. We're going to be using Cherry Blossoms Bunch outline stamp set, the coordinating stencil, layering stencil set. There is also a die for this collection, but I am not going to be using the die today, just the stamp and the stencil. So let's get started with some measurements of some cardstock. All the measurements will be in the description below and also on my blog. So if you want to create this card again, you can go back and double check the measurements. I've decided to go with a pink, rose gold and navy color scheme today. So what you need to start off with is some cardstock. I've cut 3 pieces of navy cardstock. This is Altenew's navy cardstock to 4 1/8 by 8 inches, and you need 3 pieces of that. I'll go through all the pieces that you need and then we'll start scoring these. You then need a few panels. The first are two pieces of white cardstock, and they need to measure 1 7/8 by 3 5/8. So you need 2 pieces of white. We'll be stamping, embossing and colouring on these little panels. I have 2 layers that will go under these. These are slightly bigger and they measure 2 1/8 by 3 7/8. So you'll need 2. I've chosen Altenew's brushed rose gold metallic cardstock. Then you will need 2 pieces of the same navy cardstock. These measure 2 1/2 by 3 7/8. 2 of those, so they're slightly bigger panels, and to layer on top of these you're going to need 2 pieces of white, 2 1/4 by 3 5/8. Okay, let's get started with some scoring. So with your first piece, I'm using the Altenew scoreboard. You're going to score on the long side at 1 inch, 3 3/4, 4 3/4, and 7 1/2. So I'm going to turn this round because I'm using a smaller scoreboard. I'm just going to score it half. That will be the 7 1/2 on that side. And then we're just going to burnish those. I'm using my Altenew bone folder, and we are folding these over, making sure that you're lining up the sides. We're creating essentially three boxes, so we want to make sure that they're nice and square. And you keep folding in the same way. Let's turn that over. And the last one is going to be a tab to close the box together. And that will create the first of our boxes. So let's do the same again. 1 inch, 3 3/4, 4 3/4, and it would be 7 1/2 if you're on a bigger scoreboard, I'm just going to turn it around. Because this is 8, I'm coming in at 1/2 inch, and that would be the equivalent of the 7.5. Do the same again with these, bending them forward, making sure they're lining up, giving them good creases with your bone folder. Let's do that last tab, and then we'll go on to this final one. 3 3/4, 4 3/4, and 1/2. Now, this is all the scoring we're going to be doing today, so I will put my scoreboard aside now, and we'll go on to putting these boxes together. I find the easiest way to put a box together so that you know it's going to line up is pressing it flat. So we're needing some tape, either liquid glue. You could use Altenew, your double-sided tape. I'm just going to use the tape runner today because that's nice and quick and easy, and just literally running the tape runner down there and folding it over, and then we have our first box. Let's repeat that. Final one. Once again, making sure that they're lining up on each side. Now you're going to want to make sure also that your folds are at the back. So I'm just going to turn this so that all 3 folds end up. There's the last fold, and that ends up on the back as well. So you've got your 3 free boxes. Putting those aside for the moment, and let's go on to stamping on our panels of white. So this is the next step. We can do away with those tabs. So you'll see we've got 2 smaller ones and 2 bigger ones. When you line up the front, you're going to have the wider one on the left, the 2 smaller panels, and this is the one that will go on the back. I'm going to put a piece of paper down just so that I don't get mess where I don't want it. Okay, let's bring in the stamp set now. For those of you who don't have a stamp positioner, I'm going to use a acrylic block for my stamping, just to show you how easy it is. Now you could make this as simple or as detailed as you like. I've decided that because I've got my rose gold backing, I want to bring in that rose gold color, so I'm going to stamp the images in Altenew's embossing ink, and then I'm going to add some rose gold embossing powder, because this is an outline image, and each layer of these front I'm going to make slightly different. I'm going to angle them in slightly different ways. So let's get some embossing ink out. Ooh, the first thing I need before that is some anti-static embossing powder. Some of that on there so we get the ink just exactly we need it and nowhere else. And I'm going to stamp front. Now with the front one, I want to potentially add a sentiment just on the side, so I'm going to angle this one like that, and it's fine if it overlaps or if it goes off the edges. That's no problem at all for the ink. So we've got one, got to ink up again. Your embossing ink stays wet, stays tacky should I say, for quite a while. So I'm angling this slightly differently so you can safely stamp and then emboss everything at the same time, which is what I'm going to do here. Inking up again. For the third one, let's go like this time. Of course you could use your stamping platform, your Altenew stamp wheel is another option. So those are your 3 panels, and then for the final one, which will go on the back, I just want a little area in the corner, so I might just do that, and we'll just have some in the top corner just to finish it off. Right, so we're finished with that. Let's go on to adding some embossing powder. I'm happy with that image. We'll go on to the next one. If you're not happy with all the powder that's, you know, there's little areas that have perhaps missed, you can certainly put powder in over it again. Third one, tapping off lightly. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's go one more through the right. I'm going to put on my heat gun and I'm going to heat set these. Back in a moment. Okay, so now we have our front panel, our 2 sides, so we can kind of put those whichever way round you prefer, and then this one will be the one that we place on the back. A little area to write a message. Right, let's go on to some inking. I'm going to put these back onto my piece of paper just so that you can see what I'm doing. Let's get out our stencil. Now this is just a 2-layer stencil, so really easy stenciling for those of you that are perhaps new to stenciling. Let's start with this one on the left. On the back it shows you each stencil will have directions of where to start. So this is stencil number 2, stencil number 1. They're all etched in the corner, stencil 1 and stencil 2. So let's start as we'll go with exactly as the images show. A little bit more tricky because I have turned this slightly differently, but it's pretty easy to line up once you know how, once you get the lay of the land as such. And there we have it. Making sure that I can just see the embossing powder around the edges. So this is going to do the leaves all in one go. I'm using my blending brushes, Altenew blending brushes, and I'm going to start with a lighter green called Bamboo, and I'm just going to add some color there. I have my ink cubes off to the side, so probably out of view, but I'll tell you the colors I use as we go. And just for a little bit of extra depth, I'm going to use some olive just at the base of the leaf and just blend it in. That just gives a little bit of extra dimension and interest and stops the floral image looking so flat on the page. Now I'm going to go ahead and I will speed up the video. I will carry on with the colors. I'll show you all the colors will be linked at the bottom, and watch as I go through the motions of inking up with the stencil these beautiful little florals. I'll put on some music while you enjoy that. Right, from the same set I have stamped hello, and on for the back panel I'm going to stamp in, just let me ink that up a little bit more, another sentiment saying thank you for being my friend. And I've used azurite just to bring in that blue. So that is stamping for the front and back. Now let's go on to creating our card. All the colouring is done. Lots of options that you could have chosen. You could have stamped the outline image just in plain obsidian black ink, heat set it with clear embossing powder if you wanted to, or just plain stamping, maybe with a blue, the blue ink as a background, maybe blue flowers, or you could go in many other directions with this layer. You'll see once the card is put together how you could make this into a card for a child, a teen, a man, you know, masculine cards. Any theme would go. I love flowers, so of course I'm going to go for flowers. But just giving you lots of ideas of how we're going to, how you can make this card your own and address it for any occasion. Right, so now that all my images are coloured, I thought I'd leave in this little bit where I decided to change my matting layer for the two bigger panels, the one for the left front and the one that goes on the back. I decided to change it from the navy to the rose gold. So we change our minds often in crafting, and that's absolutely okay to do. when we make videos, sometimes we edit that out, but I thought I'd just put this in because that's part of the fun of crafting, I believe, is changing your mind, adapting as you go. So there's one panel. I'm just sticking on using my tape runner, or you could use liquid glue. Matting those, lining them up. I just eyeball, but I find that fine. But you know, if you wanted to really get a ruler and measure, you can do that too. Carry on doing this for a moment, lining those up, and the last one I'm going to change again to the rose gold. Right, pop those out of the way. I'll use those on another card. So let's pop this together. For the two on the left, we're going to glue them to the very right hand side. If I flatten this down, I want to glue it so there's a little blue border, but closer to the right hand side. Like that. This one will do the same. Placing it to the right. We're going to stack these cubes in a moment, and then they will lie flat. The whole card will lie flat. So essentially what we're going to be doing is attaching them so that they will line up, will attach and line up together, one over the other. And let's do this last one on here. This one can go exactly in the middle. Okay, let's pop these together. I'm going to put a bit of tape there or runner, and you're going to be attaching, so your edges are at the back. You're going to be attaching that onto this panel, onto the front panel. So just a little strip like that, and then this one will go down. So if you've been a little bit off with your lining up, you'll be able to straighten it out, and then that will go onto there like that. Then we're going to put the next panel on. Let's flatten that out again, putting some tape here, and attaching that bit to the side. Then your card will stand up, and when you close it, you can close it like that, or you could definitely closing it that way, and that would fit into a normal envelope. Now let's turn it over, and we want to put this final panel onto the back. Like that. And there we have your card. So give you a close-up look. Your front panel, they're all glued together, essentially 3 boxes or 3 kind of cubes. It stands up, it displays beautifully. If you wanted to, you could even make another 3. If you really wanted to step it up, make another 3 and have them going that way. You could attach it like that. So just another thought. But there's my card for today. Very simple to do. You could keep your stamping to a really simple. You don't need to emboss. You could even use die cuts on the front. Any images, any theme will go for this. Really simple to do, and once it's folded flat, as you can see, it'll fit into an envelope with no problem at all. So thanks so much for watching today. I hope I've inspired you to try another card. I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel, leave me a thumbs up, and also make a comment at the bottom, because you can win a prize from Altenew in this video hop. So thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.